Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition, another day, another week of the World Team League Round Robin Group Stage, the final week of the Round Robin stage. And welcome. I'm your host, Light VIP. With me, I'm joined by my lovely plushies. Of course, as always, they're always there for me. And perhaps later on, I'll be joined by another CranKy Duckling member. But for now, we're here, and we have our first lineup here of the night. Again, these are the most important matches here. It's coming down to the wire. Later on down the line, I should say, because this first matchup, these two teams have already made it through. They've already made it into the playoffs. It is going to be Team Liquid versus ABYDOS. And even though both these teams are confirmed for the playoffs, I feel like this is a taste. This is a taste to what the playoffs will have to offer, because these are two titans of teams. They have such strong players. We got players like Clem, we got players like Cure, we got Creator, we got DRG, we have Elazer, we have Elazer, we have Diego, we have Oliveira. Let's go. Let's go, Poppy. So I'm ready. I am excited, and we can have a bit of a gander at what the lineups are going to be. Here we go. We have Clem versus DRG, Elazer versus Jinioh, and SKillous versus Nightmare. I believe this is the debut of Jinioh for this season of World Team League. I don't think he's competed yet, so it's great to see that they are going to be fielding him tonight. Again, ABYDOS, they've already claimed their spot in the playoffs. They are already a sure thing, so why not spread your wings? Why not fly? Why not give some of the other more up-and-coming players on the team an opportunity to prove themselves? So I'm ready. I'm excited for some Jinioh. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Jinioh, he's like the anti-Terran. He is one of the few Terrans in the world that is actually like happy while playing StarCraft. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like he's so wholesome, Poppy. He's so wholesome. I love him so much. So Jinioh is going to be featured later on. But before we get to Jinioh, we do have Clem versus DRG. And oh boy, this is going to be a pretty intense one at that. Clem, of course, being the best Terran player in all of Europe. DRG, more the middle of the pack over in Korea. But he definitely can punch up, and he can go toe-to-toe with Clem if he is good on the day, if he is good here and now. I guess that's the other thing to bear in mind, is that the heavy hitters of ABYDOS aren't here. Creator and Cure, they are not being fielded tonight. They're being kept for a later date. They're kind of reserving their stores of energy here for the playoffs. Instead, it's going to be the other members that have to pick up where the others have left off. Oh boy. So yeah, some spicy matchups, some very spicy matchups. Again, for me, the highlight of the night is going to be Elazer versus Jinioh, but I will try to enjoy the rest. I'll try and be as invested in the other matchups. Clem versus DRG is going to be very spicy. We'll see how Clem does decide to play. I feel like there's a lot of variety to Clem, to be honest. Like he can bring a lot to the table. In a longer best of series, I'm sure we'll be seeing some mech. In a best of 2, I hope not. I hope we don't see any of Clem's mech. He does play it quite often, though. More often than I would like. I smooch. But here we go. Just having a look at the stats overall. Clem, with a very nice 83 here, an A-tier player, plenty of 9s, got a solid 10 in micro, which I feel like is very apt. He's a very fast and very micro-intensive player. Meanwhile, going up against him is DRG. A C-tier. Oh, we're a little bit harsh here. A C-tier player, apparently. I would place DRG at least a B. Give him a B, man. Give him at least a B. But yeah, they're being a little bit harsh here. I'm sure they're kind of docking some of his points when it comes to his form. You can see the numbers on the left-hand side. His form, his consistency, his earnings as well. Overall, his stats are quite solid. I would say like 8s and 7s are, yeah, they make a lot of sense here for DRG. But maybe his form and like his performance in other tournaments are hurting him a little bit. Regardless, I do expect this to be a very, very entertaining series. And Game 1 is going to be taking place on Ancient Cistern. Oh, let's go, Buck. Let's go. Speaking of, a massive shout out to Babylings in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. For those that are just tuning in, this is the World Team League. This is the last week of the round robin section of the World Team League. After this weekend, we're going to be taking a break. We're going to be taking a couple of weeks off, and then in a couple of weeks, we'll be coming back with the playoffs, with the grand finale of the WTL. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that, especially because the standings still are not set in stone. There are still some teams that are vying for those last spots for the playoffs. Not these two, though. Again, Team Liquid and Team ABYDOS, they are quite comfortable in the standings. I feel like depending on who wins and who loses here, I feel like the standings won't change. I think it is a sure thing that Team Liquid is going to be 4th place and ABYDOS will be 5th place. 4th and 5th respectively. And again, that also means that the likelihood of them facing in the playoffs is going to be a little bit higher as well. So something definitely to look forward to. Oh boy, as we are getting ready for our next matchup. Ancient Cistern is going to be an interesting one. It's one of the more larger maps in the map pool. We have seen Clem struggle at times, especially on this map, because if the momentum goes the way of the Zerg, if they gain map control as well, I'm always brought back to Demaga. To be fair, DRG is no Demaga, but I'm never going to forget Demaga versus Clem. It's one of those games that is going to be just burned into my mind for the foreseeable future. I'm going to forget so much else that's so important, but I'm going to remember Clem versus Demaga. Oh god, it's like Kaz. I'm always going to remember Kaz as well, and his wild TVZ and his playstyle. Papa Kaz, if you will. But for now, you know, the players just making sure that the lobbies are ready, that there's no latency issues either. Of course, DRG was playing earlier. He was competing in the Africa Champions Cup. For those who don't know, this is actually our second broadcast of the day. I know Africa isn't the most appealing platform, especially depending on especially with the international scene, but we were live a couple of hours ago with the Africa TV Champions Cup qualifiers. We casted DRG, Creator, Ragnarok, Astrea, Max Goddamn Angel had an insane run, had a wild run in the Africa TV Champions Cup qualifiers, and I recommend checking out the VODs. They will eventually be on YouTube once they do come around. Oh god, specifically Astrea versus Ragnarok and Astrea versus DRG. Oh god, they were wild games. And even afterwards, Astrea actually played against Oliveira as well, and game 1, it got rowdy, Bobby. It did get rowdy. Oh god, so yeah, we've already had a great day of StarCraft, and the day continues. It will conclude here with WTL. As a reminder, today's the second day of WTL, and tomorrow will be the final. Tomorrow will be the final day. Tomorrow I'll be joined by Asher. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, actually. We have the WTL qualifier. Sorry, the WTL. We also have more Africa TV Champions Cup qualifiers tomorrow as well. It's going to be the global qualifier, not just Korean, which was today. And we also have the Tenacious Total Tussle. So if you're interested, if you are of the region, then check out the Tenacious Total Tussle as well. We have 3 broadcasts tomorrow. I'm gonna die. After this, I need to get as much sleep as possible so I can be ready and I can be awake and I can be present for the Tenacious Total Tussle. Then after that, I have to get as much sleep as I can, and then we get into the Africa qualifiers and then WTL as well. Tomorrow may be a day where I have to drink a cup of coffee. I may have to. Don't do it often, but yeah, tomorrow's. Thankfully, we're not going to have too many intense days like that, as we are diving into game 1 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern. We have the French Terran player for Team Liquid, Clem. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner for Team ABYDOS, it is DRG. The South Korean Zerg. Here we go. Oh, and I'm a little bit concerned. I know that I was talking a little bit about mech earlier and about how, you know, Clem, he's not going to whip it out in a best of 2. Sure, he does it in a best of 3 and a best of 5 consistently, but a best of 2? No, I hope not. I think a lot of it will also depend on like how present and how awake Clem is. I know it's a little bit earlier in the day over in the land of Europe. Not that early, to be fair, but you know, like it's a weekend. Clem is known to be a bit of a degen as well. He's one of the few European players out there that stays up to compete in ESL Open Cup Americas. It's like Clem and Max Pax. They're the 2 degens, confirmed. So he may have just woken up. It's possible. Or he may have never slept. As we are getting into this. So far, nothing too crazy. Hatch gas pool opener from DRG. Likewise, Clem going for a Rax expand. So thankfully isn't proxying or anything like that. Again, we're going to be, easing ourselves into game number one. We're, again, getting ready for some Jinioh action later on. My body is ready. Oh, let's go. Just checking out the beautiful Artosalope and Tasalope out on the map as well. And when it comes to Ancient Cistern, of course, this can be definitely a map that can sway either way. There are certain advantages and disadvantages because it's so large, because it's so open in the center of the map. We can have some better engagements from the Zerg player, especially if the rocks do get knocked down. So it can be difficult to be a little bit more active and difficult to push out. Likewise, the bases are a little bit more spread out as well. Once we start working towards a fifth base, that's when a Zerg player can be spread thin, and that's where the multi-pronged aggressive style of Clem can really flourish and really pull DRG apart. That's kind of what he's known for. That's what I'm looking forward to as well, how active of a player Clem can be. So yeah, we'll be keeping our eye out on that as well. As for the time being, we have a Reaper just dancing with the Lings here of DRG. Just trying to get whatever value we can, even pick off the tumor if possible, as DRG was indeed able to get his third base up and running. Meanwhile, back across the map, Clem is going for a third CC before Starport opener, so a very economic opener here from Clem. Nothing too crazy. Is going to be getting into the mid game in a pretty nice fashion. I don't really know if Clem is really one to go for 1-1-1s too early on. You can mix it in, of course, but at least here on Ancient Cistern, we're just feeling things out, just going for some standard play, which I'm all for. I'm all for it. Hellions are in production. We have that starport as well. There is no tech lab on that Rax, by the way, so we are not going to be seeing, as far as I can tell. Oh, okay, there we go. Do you have the tech lab on the Rax on the way as we speak? So we could be seeing that add-on swap for a Banshee opener, which would make plenty of sense. It is stock standard. It is the bread and butter of TVZ, just being active with your Hellions and looking for some economic damage with your Banshees as well. Let's go. Oh, I was actually having a look at the predictions as well, and the split between these two players for the 2-0 or the 1-1 was pretty neck and neck, actually. No one believed in the 2-0 in favor of DRG. We'll see if people get proven wrong. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would not be opposed. As there it is, Cloak is on the way, so it is going to be 3cc Banshee from Clem. Again, nothing too crazy. The Hellions just looking for some damage. They're going to be finding maybe a drone. No, we do pull away in time. Good reaction so far out of DRG. Avoiding disaster for the time being. So the heat is about to be turned up here, especially once those Banshees show up. Until then, just continued Queen production for DRG, just looking to establish his creep, spreading it, connecting his bases, trying to keep up here with these Hellions. So far, yeah, this is just the dance that we have here at the beginning of a ZVT. Nothing should happen. These Hellions shouldn't get damage done. They shouldn't kill drones. If they ever do, I'll let you know. I'll scream. I'll raise my voice, and we'll all know, Papi. We'll all know. No! No! Kupo! Kuro! That's a factory. I was joking about the mech earlier. There's probably some people that were listening that were like, mate, why does he keep bringing up Clem playing mech? Like, he doesn't do it that often. Copium, Papi, copium. 2 more factories are thrown down. Clem is playing mech because he always does in a series. At least once. I'm surprised he's doing it at best of 2. Usually mixes it into a best of 3 or a best of 5. But yeah, here game 1, it is going to be mech on Ancient Cistern. Hellions, ooh, almost catching these queens out of position off of creep. We can see Clem just rotating around looking for another way in. Ravens are on the way. Clem, he has been paying attention to the Twitch chat. He knows the power of the Raven, the power of not having to scan to clean up creep. Oh, it's beautiful. Now, it is going to be Battle Mech, of course. We have Macula Accelerators on the way. It is going to be Cyclones, Hellions, a more mobile form of mech. So he's not going to be turtling up back at home. He's not going to be, just going for this slow style that we see from some other players. Thankfully, Clem is going to be active. It's going to be very momentum-based as well. He has to be careful. Like, if at any moment he gets surrounded, if at any moment he loses his initial Cyclones, I should say, then things can quickly sway in DRG's favor. Meanwhile, I like this. DRG, he scouted, he saw the factories, and he turned off his cam. That's not quite what happened, but the smudge is real. I'd like to believe that he's smudging right now. As the camera is now off, the Hellions rock up. They're going to be laying siege upon the 4th base, looking for a cancel. Lings are getting ready for a surround. Well, that's a lot of Hellions. Autotar does run out. That hatchery is getting so goddamn low, but we clean up every single one of these Hellions. The hatchery will survive. Good cleanup here from DRG. Meanwhile, at the same time, the Banshees are laying siege upon that 3rd base. They get a couple of drones, but the Queens, they stand strong. The Banshees are forced back. And DRG trades quite well here. He's got a good lead for himself. The Hellions were thrown away for not too much. That hatchery is still quite low, and it could be sniped later on, but for the time being, DRG has been minimizing his losses. Meanwhile, we do have Banshee speed on the way, so it is going to be that mobile, not just battle mech, but the new variation of that. I feel like we need a new name. Ferrari mech used to be what Hellion Cyclone was, but now, of course, we have the addition of the Banshees as well after that buff. Banshees have become a lot more popular here with this mech style. You can roam around the bases, you can pick off queens, you can pick off units, you can clear up creep like this as well. So if you have the attention for it, these Banshees, they are a terrifying hit squad. Meanwhile, a Spire was thrown down. So DRG, he's going to be going Ling Bane Muta, which is really interesting. Typically against this kind of composition, we've seen a lot of Ling Bane into Hydra Viper. The Hydras, of course, they actually do have quite a bit of DPS. The Vipers help out dealing with the Banshees with the parasitic bombs. Abducts on the Cyclones can really help lock down the army. Going into Banshees like this is a bold move. We'll see if he can get away with it. I believe for the time being, the Banshees have not been scouted. What? The Banshees? Sorry, I meant to say the Spire wasn't scouted. The Mutas haven't been scouted. Sorry, I misspoke. The Banshees have been scouted. Clearly. Very, very clearly they have been. As they are dancing between the bases, they go into the main base. Ooh, they're going to be focusing down that spawning pool. At the same time, here comes the Hellion Cyclone, clearing up a lot of the creep here on the front lines. Mutas reveal themselves to the Banshees. They're going to be shutting them down one after the other. So we do at least deal with that as a problem. And we're trying to dive on top of this army as well. Well, the auto turrets are thrown down. They're doing so much in the back line. It looks like the Lings are not going to be able to clean up all these Hellions, but we focus on the Cyclones. So with the death of the Cyclones, the Muta's going to be able to clean everything else up. Clem losing his entire army. Again, he just really was not expecting the Mutas to be popping out at all until it was too late. Overall, pretty interesting trade here. A much better trade for DRG, I would say. Meanwhile, Clem behind this, he's going to have to build back up his army. Again, it takes a while to really restock your Cyclones, restock your Hellions. It is very momentum-based, but the Cyclone count already looking pretty damn impressive as DRG continues to pump out nothing but Mutas. A good amount of Ling Bane on the ground to support, but still going to be a lot of Mutas. We'll see if Clem can keep up. He is splitting off his Cyclones, defending his fringe bases. We have turrets being thrown down as we speak as well. Oh. And Clem, as much as I was praising him for being a very active player earlier, now he's going to just be turtling up a little bit. I mean, he just lost his army, so he has to turtle. Soon, momentarily, I'm sure he's going to be back on the field. He's making 3 Cyclones at a time. Meanwhile, DRG is just engulfing the map, or he's attempting to engulf the map in creep, at least connecting all of his bases. He's got his 5th up. He should be working on the 6th in a couple of moments as well. As here we go, Clem is pushing out for a second push. DRG sharking around, looking for a better angle of attack. He's going to be trying to catch those Ravens, but no, he is going to be pushed away. Cyclones are able to keep up with the rotation. The Banelings are rolling on forward. They're going for the mineral line. Yeah, the Cyclones are zoned away. The Mutas have free reign. We do connect in the middle line. 10 SCVs go down, and the Mutas, they are going to gain access into the main. Actually, is he going to go for the... He can go for the Cyclones. The Banelings, they find their connections. The Cyclones, they were left idle. And Clem is falling apart. He loses his mineral line. He loses his second army as well. Just having a hard time keeping up with how mobile the Ling Bane Muta is. Oof. Good mine shots go off on the Lings, but not on the Mutas. And again, there's no anti-air. There's one Cyclone. There's no Cyclones. The production is coming out. A couple of Cyclones are trickling out there from the main base. It looks like that is going to be enough to push back DRG, but DRG has so much momentum going his way. He's up to 96 workers. He is fully saturated. He dives once again on top of the Cyclones. GG gets called, and DRG takes game number 1. Oh, let's go, Papi. Let's go. Hey, you want to mech me? Nah, mate. Popping off in that celebration. You love to see it. Aye. And yeah, with that, already a solid start here for Team ABYDOS. A very strong start here from our Korean team, from DRG. Despite the fact that Clem, he's known for his, of course, aggressive multi-pronged style, with drop play, with Marines, with Marauders, opted to go for mech here on Ancient Cistern, which isn't a bad map for it. It's a large map. It's very difficult to be active just because of how much room the Zerg player has. So he tries his luck at mech, as he always does, and doesn't find success, as he usually doesn't. Yeah. Look, it's one of those things where Clem, he plays mech very often, and I don't see him win with mech too often. I'll be honest with that. But game one is in the books, and now this is going to be Clem. Oh, no. Oh, it's the polar opposite. I'm concerned. It's Clem's map of choice. He's going for Gressvan. Gressvan, another one of the larger maps. Now, the difference between Gressvan and Ancient Cistern is Gressvan is a much more defensible map. There's a lot of ramps, there's a lot of choke points, there's a lot of kind of like very obvious angles of attack that you can kind of shore up. Very often we see this map go to the late game. We see a Terran successfully turtling up, just walling off, cutting the map in half, and forcing a late game scenario. We could see mech again, is what I'm trying to say. Oh no. A very different kind of mech as well. A more slower style of mech. I hope not. Personally, I hope not. But it is something that Clem has shown us on this map before. I'm always brought back to ESL Open Cup Americas. We casted Clem versus Dark a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, Clem did play mech on Gressvan as well against Dark. Didn't work, but did do it. Did do it nonetheless. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he's able to bring to the table here. We'll see how he can perform and how his mech, or how he can perform here on Gressvan. Hopefully not mech, but we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. Meanwhile, yeah, very nicely done by DRG, able to hide his Spire, able to hide his tech until the last moment. And when he did reveal his hand, Clem was in the middle of pushing out. Remember, he was in the middle of pushing out with his Banshees and his Cyclones. He was caught out on the map, and a lot of momentum was stripped away from him. But here he is in the bottom right-hand corner of Gressvan. We have the French Terran player for Team Liquid, Clem. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, representing Team ABYDOS, it is DRG. Let's go. Oh boy, battle on Gressvan. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as we have a 2-Rax opener from Clem, mixing things up. You love to see it. Oh, I appreciate it. Let's go. We do have Clem varying up his opener here, as we do have the Rax on the low ground. We have another Rax being set up as well. This is the Beyond opener. Oh, the cam is back on. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. But the cams are back on, and we have seen Clem vary things up and go for the Beyond opener. I'm pretty sure whenever Clem goes for this, he goes for a 4-Rax. So we'll see. We'll see if that's what he goes for. Now, what's important about this Beyond opener is that you do have a lot of varying different branches that you can go down. You can go for a 3-Rax, for a Mass Reaper all-in. You can go for a 2-1-1. You can go for a fast 3rd CC. You can go 3CC 2-1-1. You can even go into the 4-Rax, of course. So yeah, we'll see what Clem has up his sleeve and what he will bring to the table with this. Also, now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen DRG versus Beyond recently. I've seen Beyond do the Beyond build against Solar, Dark, and Ragnarok. I don't think I've seen him against DRG, so I'm really curious to see how he responds to this and what his reaction is going to be. Oh, is there buffering going on? Wait, what? Are we not synced up? I thought we were. Oh, hold on. Yeah, my apologies. We weren't synced up. Okay, all good, all good. As Reaper has arrived, is going to be dancing with these Lings. Getting a Ling already, so not too bad, not too bad. But yeah, I do apologize if we were a little bit out of sync. We should be lined up now. Should be lined up. I guess it was like some buffering going on or something. But for the time being, we do have, actually Mass Reaper coming out from Clem. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted by what was happening in the chat, and Clem is not stopping Reaper production. This is really weird. I believe he's only got, no, yeah, he's 3 Raxing. Okay, never mind. He does have a 3rd Rax in the main base, so 3 Rax Mass Reaper coming out from Clem. Oh boy, DRG thankfully did stay on 2 bases. He's pumping out as many queens as he can. God, but I feel like DRG, he's on the cusp, he's on the brink of being broken. These 3 queens are oh so low. Oh my god. Pull back, puppy, pull back. 1 queen does fall, and it could be a bit of a domino effect because these queens, they are not long for this world. There we go, a 2nd queen goes down as well. Clem is expanding, he's transitioning behind this as he gets a 3rd queen, and this, I want to say, is maybe already worth it at this point. 3 queens is a massive loss for DRG. Not just 3 queens, but also 16 lings as well. Oh boy. Of course, ling speed is going to kick in, and with ling speed, we should be able to clean up these Reapers, but the grenades are looking really good. The lings, they don't get the surround. Clem has too much. He's snowballing out of control. He's going to be able to kill these queens, and this may just be it, by the way. The lings are going for a counterattack. Okay, they do turn back around. That's a problem. Like, if DRG does go across the map, then he may just lose everything. Not like this. As we do see Clem backing off. He was playing with fire, but again, because he knows that link speed is done, he is going to be returning back home. He's throwing down, or he's going for his add-ons as we speak to get into Stim, to work on his marine production, and to saturate his 2 bases. And Clem is even ahead. He's ahead of the workers as well. He has done enough damage to make this worth his while. What's important as well, that we're going to be working towards a Stim timing. And if we keep all these Reapers alive, they're going to do surprisingly well for Clem when the push occurs. They can do so well at just really disrupting the Ling Bane of his opponents, of DRG, with their KDA charges. It's terrifying. As the Hellions are hitting the field. Boy, Clem looking to maybe even deny the 3rd base. With the addition of these Hellions, the Lings aren't anywhere near as terrifying. The Lings, they're not going to have the easiest time surrounding and dealing with these Reapers. As the Reapers reveal themselves, DRG, he's setting up for this round. Once again, he has a massive Ling army out on the map. He can surround, he can counterattack. It looks like he's going for the counterattack. The wall is just barely a wall in time. Marines do force back the Ling army, and now that Clem knows the Lings are out of the map, he can be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive. So he's going to be pushing towards that 3rd base. Oof. The Lings are going to be going down. Those queens are getting low as well. Can they transfuse? Oh god. As a DRG is forced to turn back around with those harassing Lings, but this is becoming too much damage. Another queen falls. Not like this. DRG is trying to hold on. He's got +1 carapace on the way. The double drop is coming, and we have so much left over from the early game to support Clem's push. Oh. There we go. The KDA charges are thrown down. We can see a surround is finally coming in on these Reapers. The Marines, they get here 1 second too late. The Reapers and Hellions all get cleaned up. Oof. But it may not matter. It may not matter. 31 Lings go down. Now, this push would have been terrifying if the Reapers had survived long enough to meet up with this army, as well as the Hellions. Thankfully, because DRG was at least able to clean them up, he's going to be able to hold on. He should be okay. He should be able to attempt to stabilize and saturate his 3rd base. As Clem is just rallying everything across the map. The Widow Mines have arrived, and shots are going to be going off. Okay, DRG does manage to drag those mine shots away from his army. As Clem continues to push on forward. Getting on top of these queens. Once again, queens get picked off. Ay. And it feels like maybe it has just been a little bit too much damage for DRG. He's squeezing out as many Lings as he can, and it looks like he's going to barely hold on. It's terrifying. It's like DRG. He's barely surviving against two drops worth of Marines. What's gonna happen when the reinforcements show up? You know, and they're on the way. Bailey Nest just now starts. DRG trying to defend on pure Ling Queen. He does have +1 carapace, and that is helping. The army also heavily overstimmed. As DRG is going for a massive Ling counterattack. We're not seeing it at the moment, but oh, there we go. He does at least deny the third base for a little bit. At the same time, a double drop across the map. We get into the third base. Not even more mining here. More crucial mining for the Zerg. The mines. Ooh, massive mine shots go off on the Lings, and DRG's being pulled apart. GG gets called. Oh, it was rough from the beginning, from the get-go, and Clem fights back, tying up the series 1-1. GG, well played. Whipping out the 3 racks. I haven't seen it in a while. Even Beyond doesn't do the 3 racks too often anymore. It's been a month. It's been a hot minute. Since I've seen Beyond go for the 3 racks. But 3 racks Mass Reaper is another variation from the low ground 2 racks, and it can be terrifying. We saw it get out of control. We saw it get, what, 4 queens? Like 4 queens died. Over 30 Lings as well. Like, Clem was just getting so much damage done with it, and DRG was like, he was treading water basically the entire game. After the initial Reaper damage, he was treading water, try not to drown, and yeah, alas, did end up falling in the end. Did fall below water, and with that, we're getting into our second series, and we're tied up. You know, so far we are neck and neck, and this, I wonder who this favors, because I feel like Clem is the ace player. Obviously, he's the best Terran in Europe, and I feel like a lot of people expect Clem to come in strong and get the 2-0 and have like a strong start for his team, so Elazer and SKillous can kind of clean up. But with a 1-1, I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned now for Team Liquid. I don't think it's as sure of a thing. But this is going to be an interesting matchup. Here we go. We're going to have Elazer going up against Jinioh. I'm a big fan of Jinioh. I love Jinioh so much. But he's an up-and-comer, you know? You can kind of see that here in the stats. Oh, they're being brutal. 4 in micro? No shot. Papi, come on. No way. I don't know what happened. I don't know who has a vendetta against Jinioh, but he's got more than a 4. Come on. Have you watched his stream? Ay. Again, Jinioh, he's one of the many up-and-coming players in Korea. You know, I think of Jinioh, I think of Quanta, I think of Honmono, I think of Percival, Rebellion, Stephen Curry, Mondo previously, 3 Point. There are so many. Farmy, Fork. There are so many. Chance, Control. I can keep going. There are so many up-and-coming players in Korea that they're like Code A players. You know, they're just not quite in Code S. They don't make it into GSL. They're vying for that though. They're putting in a lot of work. They're putting in a lot of effort. Jinioh is one of those players, but he's still yet to prove himself. He competes in OSC King of the Hill. You know, he competes very often in these online events, but he's up against Elazer, one of the best Zerg players that the foreigner scene has to offer, that the international scene has to offer. So I am concerned for Jinioh. I'm concerned. He is the youngest of the 3 bears. For those who don't know, you've got the oldest. You've got like Honmono, who's hot, who's crazy, who's wild. You've got Quanta with the quad Thor drop. I love Quanta so much as well. Who's very unique. Jinioh is a little bit more mellowed out. He isn't as hyper aggressive as Honmono and Quanta, or even Percival. Like that's copium, papi. That's copium. They should put that in the next big brain battle in the Bronx. What's it called? The ballistics? The Basilisk. That's it. The Basilisk show matches. Make it happen. Make it happen. Jinioh #1. Let's go. Let's go. Elazer fairly amazing as he regularly beats Raynor and Dark too, I believe. I don't know if I would say regularly, but he's maybe the players are asking for a moment here. Maybe there's some latency issues that are being cleaned up. Clear it up, sorry. I hope everything's okay. You know, if there are any issues, I'm sure we're more than willing to maybe postpone this game for a little bit and play out the other series instead. I'm sure we'd be more than willing to go for. Last night he started his Ham Cup Now today is day number 2, but here we go. The players are already spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Grespon. We have the Polish Zerg player from Team Liquid, Elazer. And spawning in the top left for Team ABYDOS, it is Jinioh, the Korean Terran. Let's go. But yeah, I do apologize if you heard like screaming in the background of my mic. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. We do get to see the cams here for the first time in a while. DRG unfortunately was having some technical issues and his cam was turning off in the middle of the game earlier. But Jinioh has a really tidy room. I'm jealous. It's so clean. It's so clean. It's so white. I want to believe there's something yellow hanging on his door. I want to believe it's a duck. I don't think it is, but I want to believe. Quack, Poppy, quack. It looks yellow and orange, right? What is that? What is that? Quack. As we're getting into our openers, so far hatch gas pool here from Elazer. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. Just important to take note of. We have seen some Zerg players go for like gas first openers or pool first openers recently. Especially players like Dark, players like Solar. But for the time being, we do have our initial links in production. Elazer going for his third base as we speak. Meanwhile, across the map, Jinioh is just setting up as well for his own racked expand. So no early shenanigans. I actually haven't casted Jinioh in a long time either, now that I think about it. Haven't had the luxury of casting him in quite some time. As the initial Reaper does dive into the main base, he's going to be looking to disrupt the mining, disrupt the economy. Doesn't get too much done. Does throw a grenade in. It also gets an eye onto the third base location as well. So he's aware that there's no weird two-base all-in coming his way. And, here we go. It is going to be a 1-1-1 opener from Jinioh. Something a little bit different. We saw the 3cc opener in game 1 between Clem versus DRG, but now we have a 1-1-1 instead. So something a little bit more aggressive, a lot more assertive. Jinioh going to be delaying his own economy to do more damage early on with these Hellions, and I imagine with this Banshee, as we do have the add-on swap, we should be working towards Banshee production. What should make a Raven, actually? As Cloak is on the way, as to be expected. And we'll see if Elazer can keep up. If he can keep up with the Hellion harass with the Banshees as well. Again, the onus is going to be on Jinioh to find some drone damage, or even Queens as well. As Elazer's just pumping out his Queens, spreading his creep between the bases, and keeping up with all these Hellion rotations as well. Again, because of all these Overlord positionings, Elazer's able to keep up. He's able to get a read of what is going on. Even goes for a bit of a link scatter across the map. Is going to be denied by the additional Hellions. And Jinioh can just focus on his harass. Likewise, Elazer is just droning as freely as he can. Can spread his wings and just drone. Just make drones, just make queens. That's the other game here for ZVT. Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And I'm kind of waiting for the moment for Jinioh to even try to dive in if possible. So far, he still hasn't thrown down a third CC, if I'm not mistaken. Still just pumping out Hellions. We have Stim on the way as we speak. Hellions, he tries to go for the dive. He's actually going to run past all these lings. There aren't too many of them, but a lot of Hellions are going down. He dives on top of the mineral line, and oh my god, the drones are lining up! No! 6, 8, 10 drones already go down, and we're going to get a couple more volleys off as well. The Queens were not able to stop him. There weren't enough lings, and we're not done. The Banshee rocks up. No Spore here at the third base. No mining either. 15 drones go down and counting. Do we have a Spore at the natural? We do not. 0 spores are done. Ay, ay, ay. This is getting out of hand. This is getting out of control. Oh boy. We do have a third base behind this, so Jinioh is by no means all in. Spores have finally finished up. The Banshees are being zoned away. But 17 drones. More than a mineral line goes down. Now the second Banshee joins the fray. This has already done more than any damage we really assumed would happen here. it's always a really risky maneuver to just dive in like that and to run past the queens, but Jinioh was able to recognize that there just weren't enough links to stop him. Or he just happened to push in and just commit anyway, and yeah, it worked out, Papi, it worked out. Behind this, we got tank production on the way, +1, stim, combat shields, nothing too crazy. Again, we already have that third CC being morphed into an orbital as we speak. So the third can soon be taken. That's kind of the downside of this as well, is that sure, we got a lot of economic damage done, but this still was a 1-1-1 opener. So Jinioh, he's still on 2 bases, he's still not quite on 3 base saturation, and as a result, Elazer is still free to drone, especially after the death of all those Hellions. There's nothing to stop him from droning, right? There's no need to waste larva on Lings, as more drones are actually going down. Scouting Ling across the map does confirm the third base here from Jinioh, so Elazer's fully aware. And he's even going to try and punish this as well. Tries to dive on top of these Marines, tries to force a little bit of friendly fire as well. Gets a handful of Marines, which is great, but alas, will still lose the majority of his Lings. Oh, there is a party happening outside, by the way. I don't know if you can hear the music, and that's where the screams are coming from. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can do anything about that. Feels bad, man. It feels bad. Do apologize. Just checking my gain. As we are now being active with said Marine. Stim has done 1-1, is kicking in just in time for the eventual push. It looks like for the time being, Jinioh is just going to be heavily reliant on these drops. We have a drop here towards the south, another drop heading towards the north as well. Just trying to keep Elazer on his toes. With the death of all those Hellions, we can see that Elazer has just been able to spread his creep so freely, now reaching the halfway mark across the map. Map control heavily in Elazer's favor. As he's catching up in his upgrades. We have 1-1 on the way. Burrow as well, you love to see it. I feel like we don't get to see enough of Burrow, and there's just so much potential with it, like even preserving your drones and barring them from harass. Ooh, one of the Banshees gets caught out in the middle of the map as well. I was about to praise Jinioh for keeping them alive for the majority of this game, but alas, one of them does go down. As Jinioh is going to be committing to his push. We've got 1-1, stim, combat shields. Solid tank count as well, but we are going to be slowed down. That's a lot of creep that we have to work through. A lot of creep. Tanks are being set up with Jinioh. He's going to be careful. Oh, the split! The split is not quite there. The Bailings, they find their connections. Massive connections on those Marines. We get on top of the tanks as well. It looks like every single tank is going to go down. And just like that, the push has been thwarted. Elazer with plenty of Ling Bane behind this, plenty of creep as well. Jinioh, he just wasn't looking at the time. Had a disastrous engagement. And this is what he was working towards, this big push with those 4 tanks. With the tank count being reset. Elazer, he's just free to do whatever he wants. He even has a couple of borrowed Bailings in the center of the map as well. Oh no! No! Oh, the Bailings, they go off. The mines go off. The Marines go down, and Elazer is going to be able to clean this up, push out across the map. He can even hit that third base as well. There are no tanks remaining. There's nothing stopping Elazer from just rolling on in. Once again, diving on top of the reinforcements. Bailings get split off to go into the mineral line, and everything is on fire. One fight sometimes is all it takes. One good fight. We're even forcing out scans as well. Just getting as much value out of these Lings, out of these counterattacks. Jinioh is going to be able to regain control of his third base, but Elazer, he's up to 74 workers. He can make another wave of Bailings. We got Hydras on the way as well. And there was barely a dent in all that creep. It's being respread as we speak. Pressure is on Jinioh. He's crazy. He's going for a Doom drop. At the same time, he has to give up this third base. There's not much at home to defend. The triple drop going across the map. Jinioh knows he has to do something crazy. He's got to make something happen. But as he drops across the map again, his third is just being denied. He's being contained to 2 bases. God, we even have Elazer spreading creep at the third. Ay, ay, ay. Brutal, Papi, brutal. He drops into the main. The reinforcements have arrived. The Hydras have arrived as well. GG gets called, and Elazer will take game number 1. GG. Had a rough start. I'm sure the pressure was on Elazer from the opener after losing so many drones. But as we saw, like, it's always a double-edged sword when you ever go for a Hellion dive like that. Whenever you throw away your Hellions, you just completely give up map control, and you allow the Zerg player to drone up as much as they can, to spread all that creep, to take control of the entire map. And Elazer was able to recover. Jinioh had a pretty strong push, don't get me wrong. When he moved out across the map, he had a pretty hefty tank count. Definitely just had a rough fight, really rough engagement, and things snowballed very quickly in favor of Elazer. Now, we're going to be heading into game number 2. We're going to be loading in to Royal Blood. It is going to be Jinioh's map of choice. And I want to believe he can fight back. Look at that picture as well. It's so wholesome. Let's go. Hopefully he can bring it back in game number 2, as Elazer does take a lead for himself and take a lead for his team as well. It's really important here for Elazer to get that momentum going, to make that PvP as easy as possible for SKillous. SKillous versus Nightmare is going to be really close. Nightmare, I feel like a lot of people sleep on him, but he's a terrifying Protoss player. Definitely a player to respect as well. So hinging your life and hinging this series on a PvP, I don't think anyone wants that. Nightmare probably wants that. So Elazer just has to make sure that there's just the pressure is off. Make sure that the pressure is off once SKillous does get fielded. Meanwhile, likewise, Jinioh looking to prove himself, looking to fight back, looking to take his first game, his first series here in World Team League. First game, I should say. Yeah, we'll see if he can. We'll see if he can, as we are loading into game number 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, the Polish Zerg, Elazer. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood for Team ABYDOS, it is Jinioh. Here we go. Yeah, bit of a roller coaster ride of emotions. Game number 1 was where Jinioh was able to do a lot of economic damage, but Lass did kind of fumble the ball when it came to that push, when it came to that big fight. My Zerg heart, it bled a little bit, not gonna lie. Oh. Seeing all those drones get roasted. But now we're getting into game 2, and I don't expect anything too crazy either. We can see the... Oh, never mind. I was about to say I don't expect anything too crazy. That's a CC first from Jinioh. Oh my god. Papi. He's crazy. CC first. Okay, so very economic, very greedy opener here from Jinioh. Of course, it could be dangerous, depending on his opponent's opener, but it's just going to be a hatch gas pull from Elazer. Jinioh should be able to get away with this faster CC. Don't see him getting punished for this, but we'll see if Elazer has a certain reaction, has a certain response once the Overlord gets eyes on that CC on the low ground. Oh, as Jinioh is going to be opening up 2 racks. Okay. Jinioh, you have my attention, Pop. You have my attention. So CC first. He's skipping his SCV Scout. He's skipping his Marine. He's skipping his Reaper. Going for a CC first into a reactor as well. This is a Spirit build. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure this is a Spirit build. This is crazy. This is so greedy. Oh my god. Who needs units? Nah, I don't need them. Not here. Oh my god. Factory is on the way. Of course, we're pointing out that we even took the additional gases as well before we really got into anything. Oh my god, are we going to the tech lab as well? And we should now be commencing Marine production. So yeah, very interesting opener here from Jinioh. An opener that is probably ill-advised for the ladder, especially in some of the earlier leagues. But we are getting into our 2-on-1 as we speak. Marine production underway. Jinioh cutting a couple of corners. Meanwhile, across the map, Elazer is none the wiser. He hasn't really been able to see too much with his scouting. I see the chat. It's beautiful. I'm sure the Terrans in the chat would love this, Poppy. They love it. Oh. They're animals. So getting into our 2-on-1, of course, this is going to be working towards a sim timing with those two medevacs. We should be seeing an add-on swap with the factory and the starport, and because we've been cutting so many corners, this should be hitting a little bit earlier as well. I'm really curious. A 2-on-1 usually hits at around the 5-minute mark. I'm really curious to see how much earlier this will hit and how much harder this will hit as well. As Elazer is just droning up happily back at home. After a couple of moments, I'm sure he will recognize that, hold up, the Hellions aren't out, they're not being active. He already noticed that the Reaper didn't come across the map, and he should be getting ready for the 2-on-1 defense. For the time being, just going to be droning. He's actually starting link production pretty early on. We have a massive wave of lings on the way. These initial 2 lings are going to confirm the Marines at least. He should be aware of the 2-on-1. But yeah, Elazer's going to be cutting workers here at 41. Very early on. Just amassing queens, amassing lings. I believe he didn't go for an Evo chamber for the defense. And he should have more than enough to hold off against this. I wonder if he plans to counterattack once he does defend as well. We have the lair on the way. Overlord's being hunted down. Still just pure ling in production here for Elazer. He has so many lings. We haven't seen it, but like I can feel it. There we go. Now we're going back into droning. I was curious if we were going to go for like a big counterattack, but we are at least, yeah, there we go. We're squeezing out a couple more drones. I do think already Jinioh, he's actually done really well for himself. I think he got into Elazer's head a little bit. Like these drones, they feel very late. They feel very delayed. As we can see, all these lings, we could have held off on them for quite some time. I mean, sure, we're shutting down this drop, and we even almost killed the medevac. But Elazer does hurt himself by making these lings so early and delaying his drones for so long. But I don't blame him. I think he was just really scared. He was just really scared of what was happening. Or what was potentially happening. Now he's just saturating his bases, working towards his Bailey nest. Lair is done, so we can go straight into Bailing speed as well. Now Elazer is safe though. I can't take that away from him. He is very safe right now. Okay, Bailing speed on the way. Jinioh is going to be pushing out here with these 2 tanks. I believe there is no third CC behind this. He throws down 2 more Raxes instead. This is going to be very committed out of Jinioh. Oh my god. This build. So, okay. So he goes for a 2-on-1. He doesn't commit, and he gets into tank production really early on as well. And this is going to be hitting with +1 attack. Well, +1 attack is still on the way. But yeah, this is so interesting. Just going to be denying creep for the time being, just setting up for the push. Look at that queen count. How many queens do we have? I think we have 10 queens. 11. My god. 11 queens on the front lines. Lings, they go for a counterattack. They do catch some of these reinforcements. The tankers are going to go down. Up. Oh my god. Barely the tank is saved. As Jinioh consolidates his army, he commits to the push. Boys are being pulled. This is a 2-base all-in from Jinioh. Once again, there is no third. No, the wall is not a wall. A tank is going to be going down. SCVs as well. Jinioh, he's got to make a choice. He decides not to turn around. He's committed. One way or another, the game is about to end. Either he breaks Elazer or he is broken upon Elazer. Marines try to push on forward, but there are so many transfuses available, so many queens, so much Ling Bane as well. Oh, with those Lings going for the surround, they catch another tank on the high ground as well. And it feels like Jinioh is running out of steam. He does get 2 queens. But there's just not enough on the ground. The surround is real. Every single tank's going to be going down, and Jinioh gets cleaned up. And what do we have left? That's it. That's the thing. What do we have left? The answer is nothing. As Elazer is just going to be chasing down all these reinforcements. He busts into the natural base as well. Jinioh doing what he can to hold on, dropping his tanks in the face of the Ling Bane, because what else can he do? And Elazer, is going to be looking to have a really solid start here for his team. GG gets called, and Elazer takes the 2-0. Oh, even a cheeky smile towards the end there as well. Elazer seemed a little bit stressed out about that. I don't blame him. GG, well played. Elazer takes a 2-0, and with that, Team Liquid need one more win on the board. They need one win from SKillous to take the series. That's all they need. Meanwhile, Team ABYDOS, Nightmare has to come out swinging, and if Nightmare can 2-0 SKillous, we have an ace match. We will go all the way to the ace, but the pressure is on Nightmare. SKillous not so much. One game, that's all he needs to do. In a PvP, mate, just throw down a Dark Shrine and we'll see what happens. Well, I want to believe, Fapi, I want to believe. But yeah, really powerful performance out of Elazer. Really safe play in game number 2. Very safe play. Thankfully for Elazer, he was up against a 2-base all-in. So yeah, was able to read the situation quite well for himself. Meanwhile, a shout out to Jinioh. It was his debut here in the WTL. He hasn't had too many opportunities to really showcase his skill. We've been able to watch him a lot over the course of the past couple of years, and definitely am a big fan. But unfortunately, he just was unable to really keep up here with Elazer. Again, there is a bit of a skill gap, definitely. But a shout out to Jinioh. Definitely a shout out. Much love, and hopefully that isn't the last you see of Jinioh in this tournament in WTL. Hopefully we're able to see a little bit more of him in the future and even showcase a little bit more. I was talking to Asher the other day about the 2v2 tournament that we had at the start of the year. It would be a lot of fun if when we get to if we do have another 2v2 event like that, we can field some of these other lesser known players, and maybe they can thrive a little bit more in like an unorthodox setting. Or regardless, maybe even see more of Jinioh in the following season of WTL as well. Until then, though, we have one best of 2 remaining. We have that PvP. SKillous versus Nightmare is going to be a tough one to call. It is going to be a tough one. SKillous has really solidified himself as one of the best Protoss in Europe. He is top 3, arguably top 2 in Europe right now. He's been doing really well for himself over the past couple of years, really leveling up as a player. But Nightmare can be a nightmare. I feel like a lot of people overlook him. I feel like a lot of people, when they think of the Protoss players in Korea, they think of Creator, they think of Classic, they think of Hero as well. Not so much Nightmare, even though Nightmare is a terrifying player, especially against Terran. He has been consistently taking down players like Bjorn, like Gumiho. Nightmare is terrifying. Even more recently, Nightmare, he beat Solar to qualify for GSL. This was a couple of weeks ago. Nightmare, he beat Solar in a PvZ. When it comes to PvPs, I do think that Nightmare, he used to be more of a PvP sniper a couple of years ago. I would have favored him against players like Zest, against players like Zen, and some of the other active Protoss players out there. Nowadays, I think he's mellowed out a little bit more. He's still very aggressive. I would say that he's very decisive in PvP, and he can be a very dangerous player as a result. But yeah, this is still a little bit up in the air, I would say. Oof, oh boy. As game 1 is going to be taking place on Dragon Scales. I feel like overall I want to give the edge to Nightmare. But even if I give him the edge, the problem is that Nightmare has to 2-0. Like, he cannot afford to drop a map. He cannot afford to lose a game if he wants to force the ace match. So yeah, the pressure is on Nightmare. As apparently both C-tier players are relatively similar in skill. They're opting to give SKillous a little bit more in the strategy points, and they're giving Nightmare a little bit more in offense and mentality. I think I'm reading that correctly. Maybe. I think so. But apparently they're pretty comparable in other aspects. And I don't know how much I would agree with this. I would probably say that too. In an Into the Inu show match. Okay. I need to slip into Inu's DMs. I need to Inu's been hosting a lot of events recently. I feel like he's been a part of a lot recently, and a lot of these events aren't being cast in English, so I think maybe it's worth reaching out and worth maybe being a part of that as well. Shout out to Inu, one of the Korean casters He may even be casting tonight. It's possible. He's not. Never mind. Never mind. Oh no, yeah, he's oh, actually, Inu's casting the pig tournament. He's casting the Ham Cup. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thankfully, I don't believe that event is going to be natively. I don't think it's going to be influencing any of the players tonight. I don't think they're involved. So we shouldn't be having any kind of scheduling issues or anything like that. As we dive into our third best of two, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Dragon Scales for Team Liquid, it is SKillous. Spawning in the top left hand corner for Team ABYDOS, it is Nightmare. I'm catching up on the predictions. Okay. It looks like the vast majority of people did go for the 1-1 prediction for this series, and then we had like one person go for the 2-0 in favor of SKillous, and one other person going for the 2-0 in favor of Nightmare. Oh my god. As SKillous. Is he smudging? I think that's the darkest we've seen SKillous' room. The sun is not up, the light is not on, but there's no hoodie. It's like we're half smudging. We're getting ready. As Nightmare is going for a gate expand. Oh, SKillous is going for a 2-gate opener. Very interesting. Of course, Dragon Scales is one of those maps that does have a ramp coming into the natural base. So it is very common in PvP to go for a gate expand, to go for an economic opener, which is what Nightmare is doing. That's why his gateway is on the low ground at his natural base. Meanwhile, SKillous is going against expectations. He's going against the norms, and he's going for a 2-gate opener on Dragon Scales. So he is looking to be the aggressor. He can still expand behind this, of course. But if he does smell weakness, if Nightmare is a little bit too greedy, then SKillous can use this and go into a 1-base all-in. So he is he's kind of posturing, and he's threatening Nightmare right now with his opener. Of course, SKillous does have the production advantage as well, as he is up a gateway. So he can also snowball out of control. With this probe, he can throw down the pylon, he can throw down the shield battery. He does, of course, Nightmare to throw down his tech, and Nightmare is going to be delaying his Nexus here in favor of a Stargate. Of course, thanks to that pylon block. Meanwhile, Stalkers are in production. SKillous doesn't have a probe active on the map, and it looks like SKillous is going to be expanding behind this. Nightmare, if that is the case, yep, he's going to be delaying that with a pylon block. Okay, so rolls are being taken. Stalkers are out. Both Stalkers attack the pylon, so that means Nightmare is aware of the initial 2 units of his opponent. He's aware that there's quite a lot of firepower out on the map right now, and he's got to be careful. Stargate finishes up, and ooh, Nightmare. He is scared. He is going for a Void Ray, a very defensive opener here from Nightmare. He doesn't risk it going for an Oracle first. He's more concerned with surviving instead. As he sends his depth across the map, and he does get eyes on that Nexus, just making sure he's not being 1-base all-in. And forcing Nightmare to make a Void Ray like that, I feel like is already a bit of a win here for SKillous. He forced the Nexus to be delayed. Nightmare, he's got a shield battery on the way as well. So again, Nightmare, he's spending so many resources to make sure he's safe on 2 bases. He's spending more resources than he should, and this is kind of evening things up, giving SKillous certain advantages. Meanwhile, ooh, Nightmare with that Void Ray is going to be moving out across the map, wants to gain some kind of value, especially now that he recognizes that his opponent is being more economic. Now that he knows he's not being all-in. Void Ray moves out. It does come across Hallucination. Hallucination will survive and will make it across the map. Meanwhile, Nightmare back at home, forced to warp in another wave of Stalkers. He dives on top of the Void Ray, and one more volley up. Oh my god. 4 HP. 1 shot away from going down. The Void Ray barely does survive, but we don't want to throw it away. That was a really risky maneuver out of Nightmare, and SKillous wants to hunt it down. He wants that Void Ray. Behind this, we have Blink for both players. SKillous does have a pretty big lead when it comes to that Blink timing. It's going to be able to flex that a little bit. The Hallucination did scout everything in the main bases of SKillous, so Nightmare knows that SKillous is also going for a Twilight Council and also going for Blink. A very brave Void Ray being out on the map, just scouting, hunting down whatever it can. Whether it's pylons, probes. As he is rallied into that natural base. Meanwhile, SKillous is just continuing to warp in more and more of these Stalkers. He wants to try to snowball out of control. I believe we have a third gateway back at home. Not going all in. We do see... Oh, actually... I say 3 gates. Does he have 4 gateways? I'm going to have to double check the warp in momentarily. Robo's in production. We do see Nightmare trying to force a warp in back at home. But SKillous is forcing his way up into the main base. Shield battery goes down. Blink is done, by the way. And with that, we can see SKillous trying to shut down this army, but it looks like SKillous may have overextended. He is being forced back. Even with these reinforcements, he's not going to have enough. Oof. I don't blame SKillous. Like, again, there was a window here where he had Blink and his opponent didn't. The Void Ray wasn't at home either. SKillous tried to force the issue, but it didn't quite work out in the end. And now SKillous is going to be able to... Oh, sorry, Nightmare is going to be able to expand. Throws down his third. Likewise, so does SKillous. And we are going to be getting into the mid-game. Immortal production commencing. We can see Nightmare recognizes that he's probably going to have the Stalker deficit, so Immortals will help with that. They will help make up for his lack of Stalkers. Likewise, SKillous is just going for a pure gateway army. Blink Stalkers and Charge Lots. The other thing that I took note of is that no one has really gone for any upgrades yet, or no forges, I should say. The first forge is now on the way for SKillous. Pretty delayed. I don't think SKillous intended for the game to go on much longer. So we'll eventually work towards that blink. Sorry, work towards that +1. As SKillous is sharking around. Gonna get a couple of hits off on that third base, but Nightmare, he's right here in position to defend. It shouldn't lose too much. At the same time, SKillous, he blinks into the main, but Nightmare does have his army in position as well. He's able to deflect SKillous at every turn. And things are going to be settling down a little bit. Nightmare almost catches some of these Stalkers, does get 1 Stalker for his troubles, but nothing too major. Yeah, the players are just going to be bouncing off each other. We shouldn't really see anyone commit yet. Not without those upgrades. Not without charge or +1. Now, will our players kind of adapt their composition any further? I'm waiting for the Dark Shrine. I think that's the big thing that's missing right now. I'm waiting for like Nightmare to throw down the Dark Shrine. Goes the other direction, actually goes for a Templar Archive, so he will still have access to Archons. Archons are going to be key against the charge lots of his opponent. You can have like 15 to 20 charge lots, but 2 or 3 Archons is all you need to just completely shut that down. Oof. So he's just taking up even further. SKillous wants to try to hit before that really kicks in, though, as he now has charge. He's about to have +1. Like, SKillous has had the upgrade advantages almost throughout this entire game. So there is a window before the Archons hit the field. SKillous is trying to wedge his way forward. I assume that, yeah, there we go. I was like, where's the Prism? There we go. The Prism has arrived. We have Zealots being warped in. Stalkers as well. The Immortals are exposed, and one of them, oh my god, they get 1 shot. My god. The amount of DPS that SKillous has is insane. Especially with that +1, but he is being forced back. So far, we have some hot War Prism Micro coming in from Nightmare. Void Ray comes in from behind as well. That Prism is going to go down. The Void Ray coming in clutch. And SKillous is being forced back. Nightmare just shutting down this army. Who needs upgrades? Who needs Immortals even, as he did lose them? But at least they tanked a couple shots, which was worth it for Nightmare. We can see the army coming in from behind as well. The Prism is under threat. Up! And it is going to go down. Nightmare getting caught out a little bit here. Looks like he is going to be able to reinforce. He is going to be able to shut down those flanking Stalkers. Both players with comparable economies. Nightmare trying to rebuild his immortal count. And I would say that SKillous is in a lot of trouble. I mentioned it earlier. Throughout this game, SKillous has had certain windows where he has faster blink, he has faster charge, he has faster +1. SKillous never started +2. So these windows that he's been hitting and that he's been taking advantage of, they've all closed. Like, things have evened up. The advantages that he once had are no longer there. As we can see, he's trying to get his 4th base up and running. It is on the way. And he's going to have to rely on some other tactics here to come back or to get a lead in this game. Zealots, we have a job headed towards the main base of Nightmare. And Nightmare wasn't able to see it coming ahead of time. And here we go. The Zealots do get dropped into the main. We get a massive warping into the main base, and Nightmare was not ready for this. He's forced to recall. At the same time, SKillous, he dives in towards the 3rd, completely catching Nightmare out of position. SKillous doesn't find too much damage here at the 3rd, but he gets 7 probes in the main. He gets a pylon. He, I think, sniped a shield battery as well. As we get the picture-in-picture, the Zealots in the main base are being cleaned up, but the damage has been done. SKillous trying to gain some ground, but these Zealots are doing such a great job at buffering for the army of Nightmare. He's once again forcing SKillous back. Again, Nightmare, he just has such a higher technical army here. He's going to be losing his high-tech units. The Prism goes down, the Immortal as well. Here come the reinforcements from behind. Nightmare, he's getting a full surround. He's shutting down the Stalkers of SKillous, and this may just be too much. We do force the overcharge. The boys are being pulled. But alas, Nightmare is not going down here without a fight. He is looking to not just fight back for himself, but also fight back for his team, fight back for Team ABYDOS. As the 4th base is going to be going down. And SKillous doesn't have much of anything left. He has a small Stalker hit squad that he's sending out on the map. Got a couple units here at home to defend as well. He has another shield battery. But Nightmare just has an overwhelming army. Zealots, they come in from across the map. He doesn't even have a prism. He can't even reinforce on the front lines, but GG gets called. And Nightmare will take game number 1. GG. Oh. And this is the beginning. This is the beginning of something here. Nightmare, he takes the first game. It's going to be SKillous' map of choice, but if Nightmare is able to take one more game, we force the ace match. We go all the way to game number 7. SKillous, he needs one game, Pop. He needs one game. And I was really impressed by his timings, by the way. Like, his attacks, his pushes were always lined up with blink or +1 or charge. Like, he was always taking advantage of how much faster his upgrades were, but unfortunately, Nightmare was so well positioned. He was aware that he was behind in certain aspects. That's why he was making Immortals. That's why he was the defender for the most part until the end of the game. Until finally he took a really good fight. He knew that he had a lead, and then the turns were suddenly tabled. Oh. And that was after such a quirky opener as well. With that Void Ray being made. The Void Ray coming in clutch as well. I love that the Void Ray was maybe even pivotal in the defense as well, coming in from behind, sniping the Prism, making sure that SKillous didn't have any additional warpins across the map. Any Dark Templar in game 1, not gonna lie. But here we go, we're getting into game 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood for Team Liquid, it is SKillous. And spawning in the top right-hand corner for Team ABYDOS, it is Nightmare. Here we go. Maybe the smudge was a sign of things to come. The darkness that is engulfing SKillous' room. The foreboding is real. Oh. Stay with us, Papi. Stay with us. Come to the light. Come. As the both players are setting up for 2 gate openers, they're both reasonable Protoss players. No one is crazy here like Max Packs. And if Ash were here, we would be able to play our favorite game. You know, what 2 units are going to be coming out from these gateways? Of course, there are so many different unit combinations that could be coming out, and they all tell a different story. Especially after what happened in game 1, I feel like Nightmare is going to go for a Stalker Sentry opener. And SKillous is going to go, let's say, double Stalker. Alright, Let's go. I was very tempted to say double adept for SKillous, but I'll stick with double stalker. I'll lock it in. As the cyber cores are on the way as we speak. Probes just dancing in between the bases. The goal here of these probes is to get an eye on the second pylon, and we can see that both second pylons have been thrown down in the main base, so there are no proxies, and both players know that there are no proxies. They should be both feeling pretty safe about themselves. Everything's looking very normal, very standard. And here we go with the Cybercore finishing up our first two units. We have SKillous going for the double stalker, and Nightmare going for the stalker adept. I was so close. I was so close. So SKillous double stalker, Nightmare stalker adept. I predicted double stalker from SKillous and stalker sentry from Nightmare. So with this, Nightmare, he can be a little bit more aggressive. This adept is going to be giving him quite a bit of scouting information. He can zoom across the map. The goal here as well is to keep the adept hidden from the probe of SKillous, from the scouting of SKillous, but I don't think he'll be able to do so. Well, as the adept does avoid, actually, yeah, is able to avoid that probe. So SKillous is in the dark. He doesn't know what the second unit was of Nightmare. Could be a sentry, could be a second stalker, it could be an adept. As Nightmare is moving out. SKillous likewise pushes out with his first two stalkers just to meet any stray units coming across the map, but Nightmare goes the long way around, so SKillous is going to miss this adept, and if he's not too careful, the adept could slip into the main and could get some damage done. Up! Oh, the wall is not a wall. The adept does slip in. Does confirm those sentries. We're going to get one probe already. We're going to get a second probe as well. The sentries, they merely tickle the adept. Oof. 2 probes and a full scout is pretty damn good. Nightmare even sees the Twilight Council opener of SKillous and confirms the Nexus. Meanwhile, Nightmare's going for a 1-base all-in. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. We've got 3 gates back at home. We have a Robo on the way as well with that Warp Prism. I thought that Nightmare was going to proxy his 4th gateway, and he may still do so as he's warping in stalkers across the map. For the time being, it's going to be a 3-gate all-in. It's going to be vanilla stalkers. There's no blink, but we have pseudo blink. We have the prism, which of course can micro, can pick up these stalkers, can keep them alive. Unfortunately, no aggressive blink potential. As SKillous has recognized how much danger he's in, he throws down 2 additional shield batteries here at the natural base. Nightmare trying to force his way forward. 1 stalker already goes down. The prism arrives 1 second too late. And these force fields have been working wonders for SKillous. So far, a solid hold. But we are running out of energy on those sentries. And the push is coming. I believe we haven't wasted an overcharge yet, so we're going to have that available. Boys are being pulled as well because we need to. Nightmare trying to focus fire as best he can, but he's being zoned away by these probes. As he pushes on forward, another stalker goes down, forces off the overcharge, and once again, Nightmare is going to be forced back, but he was able to, oh, he loses another stalker actually. Nightmare slipping up in the micro. Again, he should not be losing anything when you're all in like this. Every unit is precious. Nightmare running out of a bit of steam. Goes for another warp in. It's interesting that he has the prism, but he's actually been warping in using that proxy pylon. Let's see, here we go. He does a push on forward once again. The overcharge did run out. Shield batteries are falling one after the other. Blink is a couple of seconds away from finishing, and once we have Blink, it's going to be a little bit easier for SKillous, but he loses another stalker. Ay. Does lose another stalker. The sentries are falling left and right. They get a couple more force fields in, but it looks like the natural base has been broken. It looks like Nightmare just has too much. Even though he was bleeding out some units here and there, it looks like it's still enough to break the natural base, to push up into the main. SKillous didn't have a robo, he didn't have a defensive immortals, didn't even have a 3rd gateway to keep up with the production. Oh, as SKillous is supply blocked. He can't warp in anything else. The production is under threat. The gateway is going to be going down, and Nightmare is on the road to the ace match. He's making his way towards that ace match. Pushing up this ramp is still going to be difficult. We can see SKillous has a beautiful concave, but the force field is about to run out. Oof. Yeah, without that force field, there's nothing stopping Nightmare from just waddling into the main base. We do have another overcharge. The shield battery finishes up just in time. He's keeping these units alive a little bit longer. The blink, the micro, though, the juggling from Nightmare is just too damn good. He is running out of health. He's running out of shields. His army is so low. Look how red, look how orange his army is. I mean, it shows how meticulous he's been with preserving these units. Again, any lesser player, any worse micro, and all these Stalkers would be dead for Nightmare. They should all be dead. It's just too damn good. Oh god, the blinks without the blinks. It's crazy. Cybercore goes down. Boys are being pulled once again. It does feel like, can SKillous clean this up? The army of Nightmare is so low. Looks like he won't. Every probe goes down. The economy of SKillous is non-existent at this point. And even though SKillous can blink himself, it's not going to be enough. GG gets called, and Nightmare takes the 2-0 for his... Oh. The emotion behind the... The emotion behind the thumbs up. Oh, you love to see it. As Nightmare, clearly just full of passion, full of energy, takes the 2-0. And we're going to the ace match. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. Okay. Time for some predictions. Chat, let's get involved. Who do we think comes out as the ace player? Who do we think comes out? Because there's going to be some mind games. So, obviously, Clem is the clear choice for Team Liquid. You know, he is the highest rated player on the team. But is that a reason not to whip him out? Because it's so obvious to pick Clem, then the likelihood of Clem being sniped is higher as well. That's the advantage for Team ABYDOS. Team ABYDOS, they have two really strong players, and they have Jinioh, who's a good player, but you know, there's a gap between Jinioh and DRG and Nightmare, for example. So I do feel like ABYDOS, they have a little bit more freedom with who they want to pick, whether it's Nightmare or DRG for the ace player. And they can pose the question, guys, who is feeling more on point against Clem? Who feels like they have his number right now? Clem looked kind of shaky against DRG. A little bit shaky. Like game one was quite a game on Ancient Cistern, if you recall. Oh, but this is also important. Neo-Humanity. Neo-Humanity is going to be the ace map. Oh, okay. I don't think we want a ZBT. If Clem comes out on Neo, I feel the mech. I can feel the mech already on Neo-Humanity. If Clem comes out, if Clem plays against DRG, it's going to be mech, and it's going to be up to DRG if he wants to deal with that. If he wants to deal with a turtling Terran player who cuts the map in half. Otherwise, Elazer wouldn't be a bad pick. SKillous, even though he got 2-0'd, maybe he feels confidence. Like, SKillous is not a bad player. Both SKillous and Elazer, like Team Liquid, they've got a really stacked older than DRG. He's a young man. He's like 22. Kappa. How old is DRG? He's 32. Man, he's fine. He's fine. How old is Jinioh? Jinioh is like 22, right? Jinioh. Oh, it doesn't say on Wikipedia. Don't know how old he is. But okay, so we've been seeing a lot of Clems. Does anyone believe in either Elazer or SKillous? Does anyone believe it's going to be anyone other than Clem? Who's bold enough to take that stance? It said on Wikipedia for me he's 20. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I'm an animal. I looked up, in my brain, I was looking up Jinioh to check his age, but I actually looked up Quanta. I looked up Quanta and it doesn't show Quanta's age. Why am I looking at Quanta? What? As here we go. Oh my god! Oh! Let's go! It's gonna be Clem, and I didn't think he was available. I didn't think that they would field him. ABYDOS. They've pulled into their bag. They've pulled into their roster. They're like, mate, we need our ace player. We're not playing around. Not anymore. We're gonna bring up the big boys, the big guns. They go for Cure. Oh, let's go. Out of left field. with the steel chair. Clem versus Cure. A TVT, and this is what I was talking about. They're snipe. I feel it. I feel the snipe on Clem. They go to the Discord server. They go to their cacao. They're like, mate, who's feeling good against Clem? You know, is it how you feeling DRG about game 3 or how you feeling Nightmare? And then suddenly, Cure appears in the chat. Send me in, Poppy. Send me in. Oh, oh, Cure. I thought you were unavailable. Nah, not for the ace match. I'm available for that, Poppy. Let's go. Cure, the ace player for Team ABYDOS. The ace player has arrived. Fun fact, this is a bit of a grudge match. We've mentioned this before in a joking manner, but it did happen. ESL Master Summer. DreamHack Young Shipping. You know what happened? Clem versus Cure happened. You know what else happened in Clem versus Cure? Oh. Hold on. I'm looking it up, Poppy. I'm looking it up. Was it in the knockout bracket? That's winner stage on Wikipedia. Yeah. Clem versus Cure. Cure beat Clem in the knockout bracket 2-1 at ESL Masters Summer with one hand. One-handed. Crazy. Ay. With what can Cure do with two hands? What can he do? The one-handed bandit, Papi. He's been recovering. He's been injured for a while now, but he's regaining use and control of his hand, and now he's looking to do it again. Oh, let's go. Perfectly even score. Apparently they've got one player with more micro, the other with more macro. Potentially. Both A-tier players. Makes sense. I wonder what the other hand was doing. Oh. Calm down, Buffy. Calm down. I think we all know what the other hand was doing. Ay. So yeah, for those of course don't want to harp on this too much, but for those who are wondering, Cure has been injured for the past couple of months, was unable to play and was unable to compete in StarCraft, and that all changed for DreamHack Young Shipping when he showed up out of nowhere after being gone for a month at the time. After quite a long hiatus, Cure made his return, and he actually played and competed at DreamHack Young Shipping at ESL Master Summer with a sling. He could barely move his hand, and he did really well. Despite the handicap, I was just quickly checking the Wikipedia page. Like Cure, he made it into the top player base at that event, which is wild. He made it into the top 8 with one hand. Crazy, Poppy, crazy. Is this when the copium comes out and you're like, yeah, well, he plays better with one hand, you know? It's really two hands slow him down, you know? True, Poppy, true. Yeah, we'll see how much he has been able to recover. A couple of weeks ago, we did get notified that Cure was feeling a lot better, that he was on the road to recovery. Still not at 100%, but he is making his way there. He actually started competing in online events, I want to say 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago at this point, in preparation for GSL, as of course Cure is also competing in GSL. He wanted to make sure he was actually in form and in shape for that event. And even though I'm praising Cure a lot and I'm really excited to see him come out as the ace player, once I saw that Cure wasn't playing, I thought TL would sweep, but here we are. Yeah. I mean, it goes to show that, like, we mentioned it earlier, you know, Cure and Creator, they didn't play today. The ace players, the strongest players on ABYDOS, did not compete, but that doesn't mean that ABYDOS doesn't have other players that are on par, if not better than, you know, some of the players from TL, players like DRG, players like Nightmare as well. They are definitely well worth their spot on Team ABYDOS. Again, Jinioh, you know, he did have his debut and he had his time in the sun. And now we're here in the ace match. You know, now we have made it all the way. As a reminder, both of these teams have made it into the playoffs. So there's a little bit less on the line. You know, they've both made it. They are both fourth and fifth place respectively. So they have been seeded into the next round. They have put in the work, and of course they are some of the stronger teams in the WTL. And yeah, that's kind of proven here in the standings. That is proven. They will be advancing on through. But they're still fighting for money more than anything, money, even just like better scorings, or even something like, or even just better points as well, because there is a point system in WTL. The players do accumulate points over the course of the season, and that will all be aggregated to head towards a big, I want to say, invitational at the end of the year. I think there are still details to be released about that big event that has been teased. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have the French Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner for Neo Humanity, we have the South Korean Terran player for ABYDOS. It is Cure. The ace players for both teams have arrived. The best of the best they have to offer. Here we go. Out of left field, we did not expect Cure to show up at all tonight. I did not expect him to be available, but no, he was watching. He was watching the stream. He heard the cries of his team, and he reached out. He answered their call. He came when they needed the most, when he was needed most. And here we go. We do have already some differing openers. Clem is going for a double gas opener. Cure is going for a Rax Expand, for a single gas opener instead. So a little bit more economic from Cure, a little bit more aggressive from Clem. I would say that it's a bold move to go for a Rax Expand on a map like Neo Humanity. So Cure, he's oozing confidence with this build. That's what I will say. He's crazy, man. He's crazy. As Cure is setting up for the CC on the low ground. As he goes for an SCV scout across the map, is going to get eyes on the reactor, is going to get eyes on the additional gases and the factory as well. So he knows that he's going to be taking the role of the defender, of course. And his opponent is going to be getting into those Hellions, Reapers. Drop play faster as well. As the CC is on the way in, yeah, Cure is going to be getting ready back at home. I imagine is going to be keeping his Reaper on his side of the map as well. It can be really risky moving or sending a Reaper out on the map, just because you will have a Reaper deficit. We can see that Clem has 2 Reapers in the production, for example. So, yeah, Cure has to be careful, because things can snowball really quickly out of control if he does lose his first Reaper. But he is going to be more concerned with scouting. He dives into the main base, confirms the follow-up as well. He may even be able to get an SCV, but it looks like he has accepted his fate. No, never mind, as he is able to back off in time. He dips in, pokes away at the SCVs, and he should escape with his life. Yeah, Cure, he clearly knows the timings of when those Reapers come out, so he knows when he's safe to be active and when he isn't, or when it isn't safe. He does pull back in time. As Clem is just now throwing down his own CC. Of course, what Clem lacks in a base, he makes up for in Reapers and Hellions. He's going to have an abundance of units. He's going to be quite, or he can be quite active with them. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Clem didn't SCV scout, actually. So he doesn't know how, quote-unquote, greedy Cure has been, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he hasn't really been able to see what's going on. I guess maybe he can piece it together after seeing the first Reaper. Yes, here we go, Clem. He does advance on. He does move out on the map. We have a bunker waiting for him. We have a Hellion as well. We have denied entry into the natural base. Oh, and that factory, I believe, does that fully wall off the Reaper cliff? Oh, it does. Okay, Cure, just a solid wall here back at home. Denies entry to the Reapers. His own Reaper gets across the map, gets a full scout off, sees the 1-1-1, sees the add-ons as well. So far, really solid play out of Cure. Even sneaks out a Hellion as well. It's going to have a little bit more scouting information out on the map. Both players are working towards their Ravens. Tanks momentarily as well, I imagine. As, oh, we are just going to be, yeah, ignoring that bunker. We dive straight into that mineral line instead. 1, 2 SCVs go down. We do have an army waiting here on top of the ramp, though, so Clem isn't going to find too much else. 2 SCVs for some Hellions, it's value. At the same time, Cure dives into the natural base of his opponent, and he's going to be looking for some SCVs as well. Up! He gets one. Can he get two? Oh, he wants that second SCV. It looks like he will not get it. But he's able to do some counter damage at least as he continues mining at the natural. Cure still has an economic lead. Sure, he was forced to pull off of his natural base for a couple of seconds, but was able to go back to mining not too long after. Again, we're getting into our tanks. Cure already throwing down his third base as well. So is Clem, and Clem throwing down his base on location. This is a great way for a Terran player to make up for an economic deficit. Because he knows that his natural was so much later than his opponent, then why not go for a greedier third to help out with that? Wow. See a bit of Raven harass. One SCV goes down. Again, Clem just being greedy behind this, trying to catch up and even take a lead in the economy. We can see a bio tank on the way as well. From both players, you love to see it. I do appreciate it, as additional Vaxes are on the way. Cure is going to be going for a bit of a faster stim as well, which can be impactful. He can definitely hit a timing with that. As similar to his opponents, he's also going to be going for some Raven harass as well, just hugging the edge of the map, avoiding the Zonagas, avoiding any kind of scouting from Clem. And hopefully also getting an eye on the third base as well, to recognize that Clem is also being a little bit greedy, as he's trying to make up for that deficit. As the Ravens are rocking up, we do have some units here at home to respond. The first target is thrown down, the second is thrown down here in the middle of the production. We have the third as well. Oh my god. He tries to focus down the Raven. He doesn't quite get it, just barely. The Raven of Clem does survive, but we get 4 SCVs. Was a lot of energy though, and we're playing with fire right now. That's a scary thing, is that Ravens are pretty impactful. Like, they provide so much utility in these main fights and these main army engagements. They can make or break a fight with those disables by shutting down additional tanks from your opponent. And yeah, Cure, he spent a lot of energy here. Oh, the Cyclone catches Raven. We do have the counter disable. Looks like this Raven should be able to escape with its life. Or will it? Oh god, the Cyclone is on the hunt. Clem doesn't want to let this slip away. Yeah, as we're getting another lock on, the Raven goes down. Oof. A pretty big loss for Cure. Loses 1 Raven for 4 SCVs. On top of that, Clem is already working on Viking production. Clem is going for like bio-tank, but with Vikings. Meanwhile, his opponent's Cure hasn't made any Vikings at all. He's going for a more drop-heavy style instead with Medivacs. Now, his army has been spotted, so Naga was under control of Clem. And the army getting confirmed as well. Does force out a stim. Does bait out a stim. And Cure has the map control. He's just containing his opponent to these 3 bases. He's looking for a way in. We have sensor towers on the way for Clem, just so he can keep up with the drop play of his opponent. As both players are getting their third bases up and running. Tanks getting in position. And now that the drops have been scouted, like, you know, Clem is on notice. He's turtling up that much harder as well. He's going to be securing himself, and it's going to be difficult for Cure to find a way in, especially with these towers finishing up. Going to be difficult to find an angle that's his opponent won't see coming. Oh my god, we see another lock-on on the Raven. Up, he goes with the scan! And he gets the second Raven. You don't want to be a Raven in Cure's army. Every single Raven has gone down for Cyclones more than anything. Again, another brutal loss. As that happens, though, we do have a drop into the natural. Another drop going into the main base, or the same drop going into the main as well. SCVs are falling left and right. That was a late reaction out of Clem. Oh, he loses a lot of SCVs. This drop is going to be going down, but these Marines have paid for themselves. Well, meanwhile, Cure was the first to siege. He takes down the tanks. He's in range of that CC. Forces a cancel on the orbital. Cure making some moves. Clem falling apart a little bit. We have another drop into the main. There is a tank in position, but once again, we get into the mineral line. We're going to be just camping this position, taking down depot after depot. Oh my god, Clem miscontrolling. Did unsiege, did rally into tank fire. And this is becoming a bit much. How much are we getting? We get 15 SCVs. We get an eBay as well, just barely, as well as, what was that, like 5 depots? Clem heavily supply blocked. Oh, the tanks, they leapfrog forward. They're within range of the CC. Is the CC going to go down? That's a kill on the orbital. Clem down to 2 bases. His 4th goal canceled earlier. Clem, he can't keep up. Ay, ay, ay. Just a little bit too much chaos going on, and so GG gets called. Cure.